Conversations with the Phumzile, the girl next door. We are back. This is part 2. I'm not promising if it's not going to be hotter or it's going to be more hotter. We're still on men's health. We're still raising awareness around health issues that men suffer from, or even if they don't suffer from, but they go through, but they don't speak about them. So this is why we are here today. And in the round table discussion, I still have Muzi, Bheki, Ntate Molapo, and then Utebza. I always like to say when I speak about Tebza, Utebza, Uma Gents, let's talk. So he also was one of the people who inspired me to make sure that there's a platform where men can be able to open up and speak, and not get questioned. Why do you go through this? Why do you say this? But where they can speak their truth from their perspective, so that some of us can just, for once, listen, just to know their story, not how we see it and not how we view them. Guys, I know when I said let's go to break, it was just getting to that, talking about the pressures of being providers, and over and above provision. I've also learned, I think with me, I've always, when we're saying provide, I really, it always felt financial, but I didn't even realize how much provision of just being there as a male, of like being protective to the family and making sure that over and above the information, the legacy, that's, you need to provide guidance to your kids and your family. But it's also pressure on its own. Some of you would not even have father figures, or not even on you on the table, just general men, where you were not raised by your father or your biological father, you were raised by the mother. But when you get to a point where you are a husband, you need to guide a family where you don't even have any learnings from how to be that father or that man. So the question I posed before we went to, for me it's very deep, before we went to the break, we are having this roundtable discussion. You are sharing the nuggets, you're sharing your experiences and of other men's experiences as well, to say this is what generally sometimes we go through. These conversations happen where you open up, go friend, but I don't think you have time where you sit as Matita and say, I am here, I need an hour, I need to unpack. Women have platforms like our society. I know in amongst the society, sometimes me and playing with you unpacker, and as soon as I say this is my problem, everybody will actually tell me something. They soup in what you can do and its advices and all that. And by the time I go home, sometimes it's either
Oh, okay. Now we know why. Now you see where it starts.
But we have an outlet, but there's an outlet. I can tell you one situation where, one of our ladies was not vocal and the husband was abusive, but she was not able to talk about those things. But after we were like, you know what, try this, try communicate this way, try find a way of talking. Yes, some make him talk. Go out at a student, So we come up with those ideas. No, because I am keeping and go to the nice restaurant and dress up, then address those issues. So that find a way. So, but I want to find out, how do you then in your own spaces navigate those conversations and the difficult ones? Moreover, the people that you live with 24/7 first, before you even go out. Here are the issues, that mental health issues or physical or any other health issue that you have, that you're sitting with, but you can't even possibly share, or you can share, or there's a fear. How do you navigate difficult conversation as men at home?
It's very difficult, I'll tell you why. We don't know the right people to talk to. It starts there.
True.
I've always said that it's difficult to be a father figure while you're still figuring out what's being a father like. So the issues is the people that say there's a trust issue.
Oh.
So hence our notice, a lot of guys, our soundboards are not guys. Our soundboards are women.
Female friends.
Because as a man, if I go to Ntate Molapo and say Ntate Molapo, Lapa Lagala today, as I said earlier on, the question will be uwenzeni instead of saying bahuwenzeni. And when I open up about challenges that I'm faced with as a man, we are quick to judge. And most of the solutions that we give each other as men, I'm sorry to say this is nonsense. Because of I always want to look like a better man to a crying friend.
Yeah.
Understand? If my friend comes crying, and then before mameli, because I think that's where it should start. As men, we need to start from listen before you respond. I always say listen, pause, and engage. So you find a lot of time we listen, engage, and pause. So our mameli umuntu, understand? Instead of you listening, not in pause before mpendo, we quickly give solutions.
Yeah.
And auchaka se hambile, only then a problem. Women have a society. As men, bontate molbarna had mahot.
Oh yeah.
So hana by mahote, they'll never judge anyone. You know, think it go banji, you know, the kalis kalosan. And then they say, hambe jinulung say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tina konamanje, we guys that don't even have a trusted friend. You know, when you have a trusted friend as a man, you value that.
Yeah.
Because this is a guy that you can say, oh, Mamed, I'm not you get sick. They don't die 200 from 10 sick.
Yeah.
Also keep it 200, that guy. Not who guy 200 and go tell the next one to say, okay, we'll feel 200. So it starts with us as men. We need to go back to what makes a man. Why am I being a man? What's my role as a man? And what is my role to my brother? You know, Dala, there was a say about it, are you your brother's keeper?
Yeah.
The reason they said, are you your brother's keeper? Because of, can you give your life for your brother? Kona manje awuthaka bayishawa yabaleka uyayishiya ufonela abantu yebayimurile la out mfethu awumi ulwe. That's why if you look, I'm sorry to use this example, gangsterism, they protected one another. Abutsotsi, they protected one another as brotherhood.
Yeah.
And then we come now, ayiki out as a submela enyindo, that every man you on your own. So what we need to do for us to be better men is to go back and say, what's my worth in my friend's life? What am I benefiting from my friend's life? I'll give an example. I've been lucky to work in companies where events was free, VIP tickets was free. When I moved from that space, I lost a lot of so-called friends.
Oh yeah.
I don't have anything to give
I know.
anymore. So they distanced themselves. It got worse when I got married before them. So they saw me with, but no sign yet. So it means stock or access.
Yeah.
Now it changes. When I moved back home, it changed. I don't have access to estate. So you see how it changes for men. Or it's what you can provide. In Dawayako, Utwala Bako, it's access to events. So when you lose all of these things, you stand on your own. That's why men are suffering. We are suffering because of fake friends. I don't want to lie to anyone and say we've got genuine friends. Most of our genuine friends are not males. In your 10 friends, if you calculate, in your 10 friends, 8 of your genuine friends are females. Only 2 are males. So we need to relook at ourselves as men and say, what is my role? You know, if we can define that thing to say, if I see my brother crying, do I take out a tissue and handkerchief? Or do I give my shoulder? Or do I take a phone and take a picture?
Yeah.
So those are 3 things
And
that
not
we should
make the
ask
issue
ourselves as
small.
men, which is tissue, lekhetla or camera, and share it.
And share it.
Sure. This thing where I think you've touched a greater one where you as guys as well, you are not able to say, open up and cry, and I'll cry with you. Like, I know, I have to cry, then we have an issue. You are not that brother or that friend. So that's why the difficult conversation you can't even have with your friends.
Can have with your friends.
And then with family.
Familiar to I'm happy we've got an elder here.
Yeah.
Our family has also killed us as men.
Yeah.
Taba tsa khoro a isale taba tsa khoro ke taba tse ntshiwang indaba za sesageni everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
So awusana a society of abomalume abakhuzayo, akusana society of induna ezikhuzayo. So emakhaya, when you coming as an elder to say, baholo, I want to leave my wife because of you have seen stuff that your wife is doing that is not good for you. Baholo abali beats bali too. Even when a woman goes back home and say, "Nyegindoda," most families don't even call their husband to ask what is really happening. Families have also pushed us away as men. The reason we are lonely is because of the tough conversations when I have with our family. Our family has given up on us. And West Bati House are providing in the nobody listens to it, don't have money.
No. I don't know. Just to latch on to what you've just said. The support that or guidance that one expects from, you used Bomalume as an example, and it reminded me, we were in a workshop with a lot of boys. I remember it was young men and boys, it was quite a good one. One young man, and I'm happy to say he's successful now. I've seen him on social media. He's a prosecutor. He likes the camera. He's always standing there in front of it. He's proud of what he does. And when he writes something, it makes sense. But on that day, we were together at that workshop. As we were talking about these things, how do you deal with difficult conversations and so on? That boy was crying when he said, the people that I went to, or I expected help from, or support from, guidance from, are the ones labo being lahlekisa. He said his uncles, he said when he lost his mother, and he was very close to his mother, he used to, that whole week, he would go and do what has to be done, but they would, would come across him crying, and what? He said that from the time they discovered that they would actually drag him, take him along to the shipping. They would take him there and say, come on, Puza, you'll be okay. He was drunk the whole week before the funeral. Now, as he was listening and we were talking in that symposium or that workshop, he was saying, I knew I wanted to say to them, you're not really dealing, you're not empowering me, you're not teaching me or it is a right to take me there. You're solving your problem by taking, they should be sitting with him and saying, look, accept or whatever way, but not this, So I'm saying at times the very people who should be helping you are the ones that just would not deal with, or they would deal with it in a wrong, or even pull you down, saying to him you're a weakling, what I can't, it was actually killing him. So yeah.
And also the dynamic where, if I'm not saying that maybe your friends like your wife or your partner and all that, or they don't like yena because ukhuluma kakhulu and all that, I vele miyeke lo, vele uyadina. They can't even say hayi phuma kuye, because they can't even give you. There's also that element. Difficult conversations at home.
Terms that touch on the issues of Uncle Clinton Demlap. I just want to go back a bit. Some difficult conversations were easy for us as a people, and maybe I would say as black people. There's something that we've lost. Maybe we should start there. We've lost us. We've lost the essence of being us as black people. We adopted what other people are doing. And I'll tell you what the Indian family is doing. It took everything that was us and they're thriving. They took everything that was us. One of the things that was us, it was the familyhood.
Yeah.
It was being a family. It was being a family. It was the cousin. It was the uncle. Everyone was important because, according to us as people, as black people, I don't know about other nations. I want to talk about me for a change. Let me tell my story as a black man. I know that we grew up in a family where everyone had a role to play. So difficult conversations were made easy because there were people to go to for everything that you encounter.
Yeah, true.
Right now, that structure has been removed. Can I tell you what removed that structure? Westernization. That's number one. Remember, in the olden days, when I got married in 2006, my wife then quickly wanted us to be out of home. So we did not get a chance to sit and to stay at home. And so that the uncles would see us in the morning, they would see that this wife of yours is not happy today. Was alarm fan. There's no one who's doing that. Umenzeni, why does he look so angry? No one is doing that. That structure has been removed. So difficult conversations are becoming more difficult because I, as a male child, I must find a way out of a maze on my own. There is no one who's directing me to say, no, this side, this is the way out. I must find my way out. One of the things that I've done that is money. I earn my own money. Who's gonna tell me?
Yeah.
And I will tell you something. I studied this not academically, but just by observing. There was a string of young people in the estates committing suicide. It was happening more often in one of these posh places.
Yeah.
It's very lonely. They are very lonely. He got married at the age of, I got married at the age of 27. I have no support system. And I imagine somebody else who got married at the age of 27. No support system, living in a posh estate. There is no neighbor, there is no gogo, there is no mkulu. The structure has been removed.
Yeah.
When we used to grow up, and we grow up and you see your bigger brother there, your uncles, your babomngane, and you see them all in the same yard, you feel secured. And they also had their parents there, so they could just take a step, 5 minutes, go to the gogo and say, Gogo, hey, you makotwenu this, makotwenu, and they will be called to say, even the men would not beat up women like it's happening now, because you would account. You would be called by the men in this yard, the uncles, the babomnganes, and all those people who
And
call
you'll
you.
be called out.
Yeah, you'll be called out to say, "Uifunde because I equal like her." So the difficult conversation, Phumzile, are more difficult because we have no one, like Utebza is saying, to talk to. We have people that are talking. I said to him the other day, the problem that I have with today's society is that everyone is talking, no one is listening. And he was asking why. I'm saying there's so many podcasts, everyone is saying something, but there's no one is listening. And people are saying something that does not have any essence in it. So conversations that are difficult are becoming more difficult because we, according to Ubuntu Betu, you are not an autonomy. You are not. You cannot become an autonomous self. I am because you are. Because you are, we are. That's how we were made.
Sure. You know, you touched something that this lady talked about as well, about the big issue, conversation for another day, about daughters and mothers-in-law. That when that structure was removed of, you cannot learn to love my child or take care of my child if I'm not even there to help you know him better. The uhlale ekhaya ukotize was actually a structure of learning something, and I like what you brought, because it's also those issues ukuthi sifuna ukurasha ukuphuma, and then ngiyokulawula lapha as a man. Awunabantu nami anginamama ozongifundisa ukuthi no masekathulile ahlele khoneni angasakhulumi, iyazi ukuthi akasekho right.
And what does she know about you?
The
You just
person
met.
you just met.
And what do you know about her?
Nothing.
You just met.
And you
met
learn.
in university. It's so nice.
Yo.
And you know, these 3 months, we were talking about these 3 months with him. That honeymoon phase. Sometimes you want to quicken it and you want to know what is behind it. And when the fun, you go back to you go to the honeymoon, you bring back the moon and you leave the honey. The honey is gone. The honey is gone. Now there is no one who will tell you that no, there are times when the honey is gone, but it does not mean it's gone forever.
Forever.
You must work on bringing the honey back.
Sure. Muzi, Cash. Difficult conversation.
I can't have it now. It's difficult.
It's a difficult conversation.
That's so deep.
I know. Okay, navigate it for me. Navigate this difficult conversation. Here you are with all the issues. Who do you speak to?
Fish.
How do you navigate?
You know, difficult conversations. There are a lot of contributing factors. Between wena nomuntu wakho uyakufundisa lo muntu appreciate yini ama difficult conversations. Uwabona ngento
Are you
ezincane.
talking to me?
I'm thinking ngikhuluma nabantu.
Happy, I'm good.
You see how the problems come.
Always like that.
Yeah, but you start izinto ezincane. Then you teach me. He likes to say your partner yako teaches you how you want them
To treat.
How to
treat
treat them,
you
yeah.
or treat them.
Yeah.
Yabona le nto. And he's so right ngale nto ngoba ufunda into encane ukuthi okay awutalk nomama ingane kudala ukuthi mhlawumbe ngibuza ngani kwakho andikhona izinto ozibukela kodwa yabo dadu abangafundi esikolweni ini ngakusasa izoshaya mina le nto uthini usibani bani ngoku esikolweni ngompela uyambona ukuthi uyashintsha.
Oh,
So you start seeing the muntu appreciate ama
difficult
Honest
conversation.
conversation.
honest
Frank.
and frank
Yes,
conversation.
yes.
Mama sengiza ngisigaxa singaka
Kuzoba nje.
kuzoba njani yabo. And now you start ayazi let me not rock the boat.
Maintain the peace.
Yabo. Hani sayishiya lesa buya nemuntu manje the moon it is simanje
Let's preserve them.
preserve the moon.
At least there's still light.
Another one angazi ubaba umlapho ukuthi uyithatha kanjani lento ngoba uthi baba wakhe bo kuba nalento now ushilo bafu kuba first born or the one that the family looks up to.
Yeah.
True.
Ne? It's difficult to have difficult conversation nomndeni because we look up to you. You are the shining
You
star.
can't be weak.
You can't be weak.
You cannot even know, let alone we.
Yeah.
You cannot
Yeah.
even have an answer. And
And
that's kind of
I think that's another pressure that we're not talking about in society to say, you know, as you are some breadwinner at home or the glue in the family, you've got your own issues. And having your own issues, because of you are seen as the pride of the family, you can't break down. And that's why you see
You can't
what
even mess up.
You can't mess up. That's why most of these guys that are like that, it's either bazophuza or uzoshada ihlanya lomfazi ezomkhipha away
From the family.
from the family. Because wena ngikhathele ukuthi kina kunganani bafonela wena ngikhathele ukuthi ubaba kanganani
Akuhlale
bafonela wena.
phansi.
Ngikhathele yini abashana abanganani bafonela akuhlale mina ngizokuthola nini. So by that time as a man you are caught between, do I choose my wife, do I choose my family?
Right.
And if you choose your wife, your family are now. If you choose your family, your wife, you are now. You find yourself in the middle, broken, and we won. Because I'm tired. You know, especially my firstborn. Firstborn gets to a point where they are tired.
I
Because,
cannot
but
tell.
nobody is willing to listen to this tired firstborn because we expect you to carry us. But when I've got my own issues, when you're going through a divorce, nobody comes to you and say, divorce nobody has ever asked indoda I divorce ukuthi that divorce le
Iphethe njani?
ikuphethe kanjani. They worry about the wife, they worry about the kids sometimes, but nobody comes to a man and say awuthi sihlangane siphuze kofu.
Yeah.
You
No,
just lost
support.
umfazi wakho, you're not with your wife. Are you okay?
Are you still gonna be able to? Yeah.
No, but what terms are you saying? He knows he's my support structure. I was in hospital, but I was still providing money. And they were still saying there are issues here. And while I was lying in the hospital bed, I was still transferring money.
But is that fair? You see,
You
that's
know-
why we go back and say, is that fair to you? And also, Nati as breadwinners, we need to sometimes stand up and say, I'm tired.
Yes, it
Ends
stops
here.
now.
So the problem is we've got this thing that says, I can't let my family down.
James, they look up to you. And uyawazi ama-dynamics wasendlini nakini yabo uyacabanga ukuthi esa mangahlala nabazali ngathi emanyazi naye ngila
Things are bad.
ngilake in and kunezinto futhi ocabangazi especially mase bakhulile especially uma wakho umntana yabo we are not mama's boys but sohlala abo mama bethu the first thing is umntana now ubaleka nento ukuthi esana nani bakupension I don't want bayolanda lapha ekhonini yabona manje la bekhona utantwana baba
Because they do that.
because they do that
And then on the flip side, you find the mother, ufike kanjani lapha?
yabo
Uzuzuzu,
uzotshela
ungekho
ukuthi
ufike
kanjani
kanjani?
sikhona
Khona.
yeah
Ufike kanjani?
Yabona
Uthulele
le-
sonke
so it's
lesikhathi.
very difficult to have those difficult conditions now kula makhesi wethu ama-divorce nengcosi zakho you still trying to build with this side usesena le nto bakwatele uhlukane nomama and what
Oh,
what
yeah.
and that is why abantwana bakule-divorce isikhathi baba-spoil abanye bakhawatheka because you are preserving, you are working on eggs eggshells
Every time.
njengamseni lo ngihlala naye angifuna belelene it's you difficult condition uma ngingayi-engage lena izovele ihambe le ntwana and that's when they start
Nawufuna-
nabo
Take advantage,
bahlakanipha-manipulative yabo because thina we're always trying to preserve the peace yabo asingabantu bomsindo vele yabo so we wanna engage but khona izinto zibukayo hey yabona le manga ibhala the domino effect
Yeah. You're not ready for what you might receive.
you understand they all said first the partner
repercussions.
kuma une partner that ngento ezinani then you there's a stigma uza ngestart then ile nto ukuthi ubekwe la so uma kufaila wena uthenjwa
Then
nala
what?
pressure yabo and I'm saying also neyingane uma kunalezi zinto usazama ukuba no ngiyancanywa they divorce didn't mean and ukhumbule kunezinto ezikhulunyiwe outside mhlawumbe baba yabona ukuthi bezama ukubasusa kuwe and then you want to have these difficult conversations nalo muntu but futhi awufuna ukuthi igcwalise lento bese bayipaint the picture bampaintele yona nawe
Yeah.
yabo so it makes it difficult then ufela ngaphakathi
Sure. Before my next question, on that same question, I'm just gonna throw a spanner in the works. How do you think you guys, with the struggles of having these difficult conversations, how does it affect the closest people if you don't do anything about you not doing anything about it, or trying to maybe foster and find a way of pushing to have them? If you continuously not having this conversation, if you continuously not able to tell, bra, manje ngisesibhedlela ngiyagula, I'm like, can I focus on my health, sort the kids, mangiphuma la ngiyakwazi. If you're not saying the things that you want to say, you are not conversing with it. Currently, I can't even think of, like we were talking about the flowers and tin fish. I can't even buy you flowers, ungifuna romance. My struggle manje is ngisacabanga tin le fish. Phumzile.
saturation
So how can now on your other side to say, helping the people who are on the other side of you, like your child, to say, I'm gonna have this conversation with you. Your behavior is so. But part of my worry, angifuni ungale ukwade ukuthi angikuthethisi because now ngicabanga ukuthi uzohamba. But I need to speak to you about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think the first thing that we need to do is be selfish. I'll be honest. I think the first thing that we need to do is to be selfish.
Men
And
need to start to be
You
selfish.
need to be selfish and say, who do I love? So before you love your son, you need to love yourself.
Yourself.
That's the first point. So that when you can start having the conversation with a boy, you're not worried about the response that boy to you. When it's about what I want boy to know. So if boy responds in a different way, I have done my part. So the issue here too, as much as people think we're tough, we care a lot as men. Because that's why I told Gucci, even when anything you can see Gucci if row I patanga grand. It takes a while for you to come full circle and say, I want us to address this.
Yeah.
We are
No. And you are happy.
but you are happy. So if we can start as men to say, I need to be selfish first. And then the second phase is, the reason I'm doing this, it's this. So we need to start learning how to write. You know the sad part about men, we don't write. You know, if as men we can say why and what.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this, and what is this going to benefit my family at the end of the day?
Why and what?
So we need to start saying, Mamela, as your father, this is what I'm going through. For the next 3 months, especially, I'm not going to pay fees, I'm not going to buy clothes, I'm not going to do this. But I'm poor. I'm going to work hard to go back and pay all these debts. We want to be Superman in a space of weakness. So if we can stop this Superman mentality and say, listen, I'm going through the most. Switch off your phone. I'm going for therapy. I'm going for counseling. When I'm ready,
I'll come
I'll
back.
pick up.
because Labantu that you care about, you're not giving them the true you. And then we don't think about that as men. You're not giving them 100%. In Zako, you're giving them a facade to say, see daddy looking good. But daddy's not doing right.
Handling everything.
Yeah, when like now, you divorced, you're trying to say, if you know something, you take. Is what Kalgo does if only la belcona le take bills of who. If you know something saying it only petty hardly, the Sabushang and Bama because it's all have your only land. You understand? With a very soft voice. Without that thing, you would say, I don't smoke today because I was told in Sako,
Yeah. You knew.
I don't smoke today. But Tina Konamanja, we keep it towing around issues. We need to firm up. That's the first thing. And remember, we're not only killing ourselves, we're killing them.
I was gonna say, you know where the danger is.
Yeah.
You know where the danger is. Not that the show.
Yeah.
They're trying to play a hero, a Superman, and whatever. But Sakuma Maskala, what are you providing? Imparting certain things. But where we're failing, is like imparting life principles.
Yeah.
Because if I try to become a superhero, I'm depriving Lentona who understand what impilo is. Impilo is not always perfect.
No.
And
he must
there's
know that.
those are one of the difficult conversations. Okay, Ntona, life is not fair.
He must know it.
You also need to man up. But no, that man up. You say we did that. But now we're growing in a society now that it's good for them to have rights. But now there's a lot of theories
Right.
on how we need
freedom
to,
of speech.
talk to these kids.
You can't hit me in the
Yeah,
pizza.
no, even decide what to say. Mabesa cooler. What use an opportunity. Sometimes begging
Yeah.
but sometimes then they say, no, you can't say that. You're planting negativity in your kids and what. Not as hard as but we want to impart life skills to Kulaban.
Yeah.
I even asked one day school, let LO and in Bafundisa. No, non visitina is Kuluma. In the class in Lomtana because the opportunities of a Kulmina Pera. God us there because I don't see how this LO is shaping Lavantoana because when I look at how our kids now LO you see it's life skills man you're not seeing
Papa, you've been married for 51 years.
Oh yes.
Conversations with the mama when things
I'm
were
not going
done.
to sit here and say it was easy. Not at all. Not that it was
Kenny
bad.
Nuggets, yeah.
Now, if I were to say on a scale of 10, I'd say 7 to 3 or 6 to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to say 8 or 9. No. Marriage is life.
Yeah.
You go in there, put my lala 3. You know, my children call it baby it's a good. You know good. But you know, Maunendo Oyazi corner lento. How Papa more was the shy like go. You know, Maulele it's gone. But how Papa just before as you come out of that slumber, 3 or 4 or 2, it hits you. Kana go na le ntho e so.
Such a really motto.
But somehow get up, face it. I don't have a formula. I can't say to you, do this. No. Each marriage is unique. Each relationship is unique because know that person.
Know the person, yeah.
Know that person who's tini, but uyazi ukuthi after a while uzoyazi ukuthi you didn't intend to.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if it's the guys, it's because silahlekile sa. You know,
Yeah.
I was listening.
No,
there are these small videos that you get more social
the TikTok and stuff.
This man says, "What's my munna wa lahleha?" Munna lahleha. I bona ntlo I get it. Atsuhala baby. Atsuha bila maraki. Utaka yo karu tsua bona ke lahlehile. So these things happen, but you know, and they can't happen all the time. The first one is a mistake. When you apologize and you say it's a mistake, let it be a mistake. If it's the second time, the third time, it's an intention.
It's a choice.
Wow.
Where now, if you accept the second and third and fourth and fifth,
It's on you.
now it's on you.
Wow.
Woo. Sure. Yeah, no, conversations with the Phumzile the girl next door. Before I close it, before the last remarks, the last question, I'm scared of this one, but I'm going to ask anyway. How has your parents, or your, not, let me say not parents, specifically your mothers, influenced the men you are today? How has your mother, personal, you and your mom has influenced them, not the person, not the human being that you are, the man you are today?
Yeah. You know one thing I always say, my mother only gave me 16 years
Okay.
of her life. But left me with a lifelong lesson that I live with every day. And one of those things was to stay humble. In any situation that I have is to stay humble. And to not let anybody bring me down. You know when she passed on, she was a young girl, 33 years old.
Yeah.
She still had a lot to give to society,
Yeah.
but she was a leader. As young as she was, I could see the leadership qualities in her. Ushona we chairman of my society, Ushona woman, Ushona that has done a lot in the 33 years that she has lived. And that in turn has made me say, I'm not gonna let anyone tell me I'm not good enough.
No.
I've always lived with that to say, as a man, one thing that I'm not gonna do is to treat my partner gabi, because I've never seen my mother cry. Ati, this is what your dad done. If my dad has done mistakes to my mother, I was not there to see it. And the lesson that I've always taken from that woman was always be humble. Anything, oh yes, I am something, be humble and know what you want. You know, the most thing that as men that we sometimes lack is that quality to saying oh bye. And there are things that I've stopped doing as if she's looking at me.
Oh, yeah.
She died, I was 16, but she said don't smoke before she passed on. I've never smoked in my life because I thought she's still here to say, "Utsunde fela." So some of these things have made me fear certain things in life and to do life in a different way because I know there's somebody that says you need to take care of what you have. And that's one thing that I've always taken with my mother to say, 16 years to where I am today, she has left me with lessons that I've taken with until today.
Till today. Oh, wow.
Funny thing, exactly that. I don't smoke today. But my mom put it slightly different, and it was my mother. She told me, and I never saw this, as I say, we were 5, so maybe my eldest brothers sort of saw that Ubuti Mama used to smoke. When I came, she wasn't, so she told me. And she said to me, or not to me, I think to us, as Abantwana, she said, I used to smoke. But now, because I didn't want eating. When your brothers, when your brothers are sitting there with their friends and babema, and anginamali yokuthenga isigarette, ngichelwa nginikelwa ugwayi, ngiye ngiyocela ugwayi brother wakho in front of his friends. She said that alone made me not to smoke. Funny, she didn't say to me, don't smoke. But that to me was enough for me to say,
Yo.
Why must I? You know, I've never smoked in my life. I've had
These ones you have.
No.
not even these ones. I stopped drinking. I think I was married already. Yeah, just after, no, not just before I got married. Yeah, I tell you, the reason I stopped drinking, and well, the reason I started it was just playing.
Hype.
Yeah.
It was hype, friends, what. At work, we had older guys, they would send a circular, during the week and say, we have an umsebenzi. They put it in inverted commas. Umsebenzi, meaning the guys are going to get together on Friday.
Men's conference.
Yeah. Then we buy umsebenzi, those people. And you find yourself, don't get or cans or anything. This ngudu. You see, now most of the time I had a friend and we would not even go to those sessions. There was a table tennis in one of the halls, we'd go there and play, but slowly we started drinking. One day, a friend of mine, Sister Wake, the re-engagement party, and we went there. I went there. And about 10, when you get there and tables are put together like this, attended across the tent, and it's just black bottles.
Alcohol.
You take ungayiphuza half, bamosha amanzi.
Yeah, yes.
Uyiphuza ibe ngaka uyilahlele nothathe enye, nobody says to you don't do it. By 12 o'clock around, I was so drunk. It was raining. It's at night. It was raining, and my parents were not at home. I think there was a death in the family somewhere. I knew I had to go home, and and then the following day, a friend of mine was supposed to be buried. Sifunda naye earlier, sasesikolweni, wabulawa abantu. In that drunken stupor, I still had the sense yokuthi mangaphuma manje ngithi ngekhaya, I may get killed. I knew I used to run fast, but I knew I was not in a position to outrun anybody.
Yeah.
So I stayed in that tent like everyone else and drank it up to the morning. Mangifike endlini, I was mouth phezu kwebed, the bed turns. It goes this way, and I tell you, around 11 o'clock somehow, kapapama, I staggered outside, and just in time to see the funeral cottage is from Kwabu Mishima to the church. All I knew was I was so drunk, I couldn't bury my best friend.
Oh.
I took the decision to stop drinking whilst I was drunk.
Wow.
Up to now.
Now, do you think that was a good decision when you were drunk?
It worked.
It worked. Here you are.
And I can tell you, I still drink once in a while, a little bit.
But
Here.
Socially.
Social, very socially.
Wow.
But no,
Good.
nothing like what. If I had gone on the way I started that night,
You wouldn't be here today.
I don't think I would be sitting here.
Gosh.
I can
Sure.
tell you.
Yeah. Mom.
Lessons.
Mom, yeah.
I'll first go back to my grandmother
Okay.
a bit. There's something that my grandmother said that I didn't forget even today. We're playing outside with girls. You will play
not
karate.
surprised.
You will play karate, the kicking and all that. My grandmother called me and he said, "You never kick a woman."
Amen.
Yeah.
She said, "There's something in girls that is not built like you." And she was not an educated woman, but I tell you, the lifetime education that they have. She says you have some things that women don't have, and they're fragile places. So if you kick her, she might not survive. So you don't touch a woman in any manner that is rough. And from that day, I was very young, I was in primary school. That stayed with me until now.
Amen.
And that has shaped me. I've never, for the life in me, raised my hand to a woman, even when it would have been justified in some cases.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah, no, I have to say that.
Every man has got into
No,
that.
yeah.
That's true.
You know, Dr. Mlapa, I have to say that because some of the things that we see, you ask yourself, would I have been able to stand for that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If I had found myself, there's something Utebza said. He says we are good at judging. We would judge other men. Why Utebza did that, but you don't know the state he was in.
circumstances.
You don't know what happened to him, what led to that moment.
Yeah.
That moment.
That moment on
Yeah.
its own could make or
Moment
break
of
you.
madness.
So I cannot stand here and say, you know what, you see me, I'm a good man, I'm all that. I have not faced what other men have faced
Amen.
and came back from it. You know, number two, there's something I was talking about it last week, and I said my mother is a strict woman, still is even right now. He knows it. He knows it. Very, very strict. Very, very strict. That's her. And one thing that she instilled in me, and maybe in all of us, was if you don't have something, you need to accept that you don't have it. Don't go around feeling like a victim. If you don't have it, accept that you don't have it and live your life as prideful as possible because it means you lack nothing.
Yeah.
Those are some of the things. So they shaped me. One of the things she taught us, we grew up besingadlestrati. All these things as saying, so I am a queen. My mother would say, you don't buy that. You eat here. You go and you eat here.
Yeah.
You don't know what is in that. And the adult me found it so difficult to buy things and then just eat.
Sure.
You know, because of what she instilled in us.
instilled, yeah.
The cleanliness, you need to be clean, you need to make sure that you are able to clean after yourself, you are able to do, those are things that were instilled in us. So looking back, and also the way I dress, I must credit my mother. I must credit my mother for that. You know, I must credit her for that.
We know.
Honestly, I must credit to Sis Kali for that. Because mothers know.
Oh yeah.
It's as if she knew who I was going to become. And she dressed me as that person that she knew I am at that time.
At that time.
So she dressed me up as that. I don't know whether she saw what she saw in me. Maybe she saw a teacher or she saw a pastor, you know, but she said,
like-
I need to dress this person. And the clothes, I remember I had a golden shirt, you know, you have a golden shirt. And there was a golden shirt and one silk one. And there was and I think I was just in primary, and I was looking so nice and sleek. And I said, yeah, man, this is it. And at that time,
Yeah.
those things were. So they're lessons.
Yeah.
And I would always say, that's why they say sometimes you look for your mother in a woman that you marry. You don't actually plan it. You don't actually go around looking for her. But there are certain things, and that's a story for another day.
Another day.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you would not certainly get her. But things that she does, and things that the way she speaks to you, you know. One thing I didn't like is that Mama unomsindo. And I, for one, I don't like noise. And my daughter, I think my daughter who's 11 now, would tell you, Daddy, don't shout. I don't like it when you shout. And I always say, this one is like me.
Yeah.
I hated strife, I hated noise. I always wanted to, if people could just talk like, so we can hear.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Mom. What did mom impart to you to
And you must
become the mom you are?
Mom is a teacher.
And mom is the teacher. Oh yeah. To the man you are today.
They will say humility. Mama, what? Ngasulo umuntu okuthanda ukushayina nabantwana.
Okay.
Uthanda ukutshela abantu ukuthi umntana maza
Yo, angadisappointa, ungathi ngiyamazi
Noma
umntanami.
kuningi.
Yabona. And I think there is one thing engayithatha learn to be humble and ungaqhumi.
Yo, yeah. Yeah.
Ungaqhumi ngabantu nalokho
Oh, yeah,
And believe
khona
me, this man Angakho, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So
He doesn't.
so it's one of the things. But into ile ngikhulume nayo ukuthi to have difficult conversations ukuthi kube difficult. One ngizothi ngifunde kumama. My schooling was funded by both my parents, even tertiary. But now mase ngimdala ngibona ukuthi hey, this other dude is a scam. I went back to I'm giving up. I'm calling my nefsa. It was Tefsa.
Yeah, it's Tefsa then, yes.
I'm for now at Tefsa. I tried, they rejected because
Yeah.
And how did you do it?
Yeah.
And I said, then she said, can't you notice? Maybe she thought I was still young
Oh, yeah.
to notice. And I thank God I didn't take advantage. I could have taken advantage of them. Not hey, it's a trip your first of August. Okay, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Engineering time and I didn't know, but I knew one thing. But in the school.
Yeah. No excuses, no
for this guy with him. I'll be right. But I think in the wrong I was decided not to open up.
Yeah.
Because you're shy, man. That we can't open up. Because I said ngibona sengimdala.
Kubenza kanjalo when they never say abakaze bathi hayi
yabona.
asikho.
Hey man, I'm earning compared to what they're earning. It's noma bangahlanganisa amasalary wabo abangeke bafike la bengikhona manje time.
And they made
But
sure
what they managed to give us by
for
the
you,
time.
yeah.
And ngiyabona ngakhala manje
something they not add up
something they didn't add up. How did you
do it?
do it? And then he said, did you notice that? No. Akasho namauthi bekunzima mntana mara besizama.
Yeah.
You know, so abazali bethu abasigayifomula life.
Okay.
They teach us these skills of hiding things. But maybe it's got its positive and negative.
Yeah.
You shield the kids.
That's your duty.
Yeah.
You have to.
But in the long run, for kukhona izinto esingabe open ngazo.
Yeah.
Or mhlambe khona la ile nto bangasa understand bangabi ne awakening with asokuyindoda manje sesingaqala.
Sikhulume, yeah.
But my mom, one of the things that she instilled in us also is to save. Can I say nama being not the bank?
Oh yeah.
That's a postman. So the say when I was 16 and he said Antwana Manju Sungazela Epe. I lied. And Zaz one of Allied. My first account was with Allied. Before Babo apps and Allied.
Yeah.
And one of the things again is development, constant development. She wanted me to be a doctor again and is engaged.
And if
doctor or who's asiyeke lapho azabe go doctor asiyeke lapho.
Yeah, no, about doctor. So when that calling came, I said,
okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, and you is what you saying, what you are saying. So I'm thinking because in every woman you always look for if you change
Yeah.
Unconsciously. My current partner thinking stay chanyana sa
yeah.
Yeah, because some of the other things when I Phumzile, you know, maybe while we are here, Pratebza, we need to give credit where it's due.
Okay.
to our mothers.
Yes.
We really need to give credit. Mina, when my mother got married, Kwankosi, where's an Amwankosi, and thank God I had a really good life. I can't complain. And I went to the best schools, by the way, by Abankosi, like the best. But there's a vivid memory I remember of my mother when I was growing up. You would go to school, my mother would personally
That's true.
and I would always go back to that, and it made me emotional. But this woman was very strong. And bekasitunga, we are in emakhaya, maplazi, atunga and astunge, and then you take your shoe, eye polish, and you go to school. So we need to give credit. And maybe Pratebsa, they will understand us, but sometimes when we meet people, we don't want people to live up to the standard of our mothers. But when I die, Phumzile, right now, when I was lying in hospital, I told him, I said, if there's one thing, there was a time when I knew that, you know what, I'm about to cash out. And I said to God, but I'm not convinced who I'm leaving my children to. Will this woman live up to that, to say, my children will have a home, my children will have a roof over their head? You know, I think when Upratebsa look at you, he would say, you know what, I can cash out anytime, but this woman will hold it together. So the difficult conversation we were talking about, we meet people, or we have people these days who are more interested in what you are bringing to the table than what are they going to do to build the table. To build the table itself. The table is not there. You know, we need to build the table together. You know, so going back, I would credit to Siskali because she really held it down. Like really, really held it down. I would, at some point, I did not want to go to school. You know, it's rural areas. You walk for more than 5 kilometers to school, just to school. And I would not want to go to school. And this woman would push, you know, like Muzi is saying, when I was now here in Joburg, I went to a private school. I attended a private school, you know, and went to varsity, did that and did that. They, while my parents were not educated, but they did so much.
So
Hence, another thing that makes us to have difficult conversation with our children, like Umuzu was saying, it becomes difficult to say to your children, I don't have money, because your parents
Never told.
they never showed
said
that. Now, part of me is afraid of taking my burden and giving it to my son, and then have him as young as he is to live with the burden that my father cannot afford fees. You know, even when time, you see, those are some of the dynamics.
Yeah, there's more topics that I think we have to cover. I hope we're gonna have another roundtable discussion because I think there's a whole lot. Parting shots. I think we can safely close it here because I can feel I'm hearing so many questions in my head, and I'm like, no, if I open up this, I think it's good. I know it's conversation. Parting shots, it's still men's health, and hopefully this conversation will stay longer on YouTube channel for other generations to see. And yes, it's November, but for me, men's health is every day. So your parting shot to us, maybe let me selfishly say, more to us women, not parting shot to the world, maybe to us women, from a man's perspective about men's health. What is that thing that you want us to know and to almost just get it and be gentle with you guys?
We're also human.
Exactly.
We're also human. I think that's one thing that I will say to Omama. And what you can't do, sometimes things that I also can't do. And we also have feelings that we want you to engage with. You know, when I'm going through pain, be there for me. Let it not only be a materialistic, monetary thing that you only talk to me about budgets. But sometimes I always say, when I talk to men, to say, let's not say we're fine when we're not fine.
Oh yeah.
You know, learn to ask your partner to say, babe, you know what, okay, take everything away. Just ask Mutako genuinely, are you okay? You know, some of us, we are Chiefs fans. We go through a lot. And our partners hardly ask us how we
How do you
through
feel
about the Los Angeles Chiefs. We haven't had a cup in 10 years. So sometimes what I will say to our sisters is always ask us how we do. And genuinely so, because now we've got issues that we're trying to deal with. We are men that were raised. We've got demons that we're hiding. We've got childhood traumas. We've got monetary traumas. We've got sexual traumas. We've got fatherhood wounds. We've got money wounds. But nobody ever asks us about those wounds. And we've got no one to talk to. As you get into a relationship with anyone, sometimes sit with your partner and say, anything. Can we talk about how you feel? That's all I'm asking about sisterhood. And this conversations should not be a November conversation.
Exactly.
The mental health of a man
every
should
day.
not only be an issue that is discussed in November, because we are going through a lot 365 days of the year. But nobody is willing to give us an ear. And also, it's also about time that as men, we start giving each other an ear.
True.
Okay.
You understand? Let it not be an ear, essentially, let it not be an ear baller, but let it be an ear of about our emotions. And
Everything.
when you have a brother that can listen to you, value that brother. Because it's difficult to find a man that can listen to you as a man.
True.
Amen.
Yeah. What I would say to our women, marriage or a family is supposed to be a husband and a wife, or a man and a partner. Let's not rule it just
These days.
you know, because children result from partners. And when that union, that relationship fails for some reason or another, then I start saying, she's my ex. But there's a child. This child will never say, she's my ex.
Ex-mother, ex-father.
Or he's my ex. What I'm asking from the women, and I'm asking from the women, when the relationship fails, remember this child needs both of you. When she looks at the man, she says, that's my father. When she looks at the woman, she says, that's my
mother. Yeah.
Don't force the child to be just with you, because suddenly when you feel, we know maybe financially you can bring up the child successfully. Maybe you are strong enough to advise the child with everything that you have. You are equipped to do it. But a child, there is something that a father brings into a child, into a child's life, into just a father acknowledging that you're my child, I love you. It does wonders for that child. I may not work, I may be crippled, I may be anything, but I'm the father. And that child will always remember and say, this is my dad. She'll always at times lie on my shoulder and fall asleep. So don't deprive the children when the relationship fails. Don't deprive the children the presence of their fathers in their lives.
Wow, Tatemla. There's a saying that people will always remember how you made them feel. What do we want from our women? Love. Love me for who I am, for what I stand for, not for what I bring to the table. What I bring to the table is secondary. I may be...
You bring you.
Yeah, I bring me first. I may be a thief and still bring something to the table and not be able to meet your needs. Two, men have needs too. Men have needs too. Men have feelings. Men have fears. They fear for their
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
They look and fear for what is coming. And men are leaders. It is by birth. There is nothing they can do about it. They always want to look ahead and plan ahead. Understand that they will always think ahead and they would always want to do some things ahead. Love us. Love us. We are not just there so that we can make you feel good about yourself. Because some people would get in relationships where they just want you to make them feel good about themselves. And love is reciprocation.
Yeah.
You must reciprocate the same energy that is given to
To
you.
you.
Men will give you energy. And as much as women want to feel secured, men want to feel secured as well. Our security is not in buildings. Our security is that, am I safe with you? Are you my safe space? We want to have people who become our safe space, that I am safe to say, you know what, this week I feel like this, I can't do this. I don't need someone that will use my momentary weakness against me tomorrow when we fight.
Yeah.
Lastly, thank you, Phumzile. Thank you for creating such a platform. Just thank you. I'm hoping one day will not come as Sabo Tebza. We'll come with our sons, and then let's hear them what they have to say to us in this platform. Let them talk. Let us, as we talk to them, let them talk to us back. Maybe they're afraid of talking to us. We talk about difficult conversation. They're afraid of talking to us at home.
Yeah.
But when we are here,
They
they'll
might be
open
able
up and
to.
say, "Ah, Maratebs on fit. Now I'm coward." So. Thank you.
Ah,
Message to women. Siyamthanda yazi.
Yeah.
A lot.
you kill me. I know you always like the plain. I'm not here. You still here?
No, mana siyabathanda.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But
Mm.
I think abobaba bazithatshile, but they need to also realize asizinsimbi.
Okay.
We feel pain. He said it, we've got fears,
Yeah.
we've got insecurities. One of the topics, anxiety.
We go through all of those
We
things.
go through all these things.
Like you said, we human.
Yabo. Maybe vaccine less ishayile, but
We're still
depression
human.
is gone.
We're
We
still
go
human.
through things. I mean, switch hour.
Yeah, because they're going through
Because
stress.
I'm going through stress. Yabo. And yeah. So I always say, Uma China masina jola the standard abafazi abasibeka sona ngoba a lot of women don't have men.
Amen to that.
If we could use the
Yes,
same
our
criteria that
standards.
women or the standards that they put to say, I want a man like this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
If we could also
those-
apply the same criteria or standard, most women don't have men. So somehow Tina, I think we sacrificed that
Yeah.
We do.
because even though with Tina standard Phumzile.
Ooh, we're unje. Yeah. Yeah.
The seven, the Pick and Pay, the clean.
Love you.
I love you.
Just the way
Just,
you are.
just the way
Ngize
you
because
are.
I want you.
Now
and
we
I
can
love
know manginjani. Yabo.
Yeah.
Because if I have to use the standard,
My man. My man.
Mm.
Handsome.
Amen.
Conversations with the Phumzile the girl next door, gentlemen. Thank you so much for opening up, and thank you for being vulnerable and sharing yourselves, your lives, and also talking about your families and your parents, and just being here and also talking on behalf of other gents, to say these are the things that are happening and we are here. I really, really appreciate you saying yes, and I hope we're going to continue to have more conversations. And I also wanted Upapa ukuthi akakhulumanga much ngayo, but for me, I think this book, it really helped me raising champions. And I'm going to advertise again this one. But I want to say, I know the reason or the purpose of me here with my son and then with my partner. If there's one thing that when I asked about the mothers, and I know for sure and for the fact, the partner that I chose to parent kids with me, I don't want to lie, I don't take that for granted. I might not say it to him and all that, but he parents better than I do.
I always represent the
Parents. Because as a mother with mother wounds, you know, I am daddy's girl, forever been daddy's girl, you know, and like my dad was my superhero, but my mom on the other side. So everything that I never wanted to be because of my mom being strict and all that, I do far less. And I have a partner who's able to help me parent, because Mina, I parent with emotions, nothing else. Has nothing to do about being clean, be this and all that. How my child are you feeling? I fill that feeling cup because my cup like was emptied. So the rest of the other things, it's hard for me to see, and he brings that more, you know, including my question. If there's one thing I think my mom-in-law instilled with firstborn child is raising kids, raising himself, and cleaning and feeding. I know ukuthi ngangababikho endlini, but I wouldn't have somebody who called me ukuthi sizodlala ungekho. You know what I mean? So I don't talk about it more, but I think most women, there's things that we see in our partners beyond financial, but we don't say them often. We are so opposite. I can do other things, but when it comes to grocery, I don't even know how to buy groceries. I'll be lying to you. I failed with aisle because I would take everything else until he's the one who buys groceries, not the one like knows how. I don't. I struggle. When I get to aisle, I get so frustrated. I'm short-tempered. I will then, you know. So it's one of those things that I know there's men out there who really can parent as feminine, even if there's no financial, you know. Then financial is a plus. Taking kids to school is a plus. Everything else, but just the physical being there, you know. So I wanted to say to all the other fathers and the husbands, ethnic partners right there, come also speak out to say, this is how I show up as a father. I cook, and all that, and there's nothing wrong with me washing and all that because I'm a man. But thank you for it very much, and I hope you would also find help and who you can talk to, and also therapy, so that we can all be better, because definitely we need you. We wouldn't be here if men are not here. Angeke sibe yinzala abantu without you being the first person who bring the first seed. We can pride ourselves as being mothers and women, but without the first seed, we wouldn't be mothers. We wouldn't be, you know. But I think I'm gonna say thank you until the next conversation. Tebogo, Ntatebolapo, Bheki, Muzi, I'm grateful for you. Conversations with the Phumzile Thegirlnextdoor. Subscribe, click that like button, and please share. Subscribe, share. We're gonna bring more conversations, and on the comments, please do suggest more topics that you would like us to cover, and hopefully we're gonna have the next roundtable in the next coming months. And thank you, and it's a bye.
So that